It's a really bad name, guys. I make no apologies for this.
And here we have the Chacho in its natural habitat, building toilets.
Whoops, I've not triggered this. I'm really chuffed with how this looks. This is exactly as I wanted this to look. This will be the last Planet Coaster video, as I've decided to permanently move to Jurassic World Evolution. Oh, Moomin, we're going to miss you. Hey everybody, how's it going? So thanks for coming along to episode number 9 of Grosvenor Gardens. We are, of course, back in Planet Coaster. We're mercilessly ripping off Gardaland so that we can build our realistic theme park. And we're not even sorry. Guys, we're about halfway through the series, can you believe? I've gone ahead and put a schedule up over on the community tab, so if you do want to go and see roughly what's still to come, then please go ahead and do that. But this is what we did last week. This is Fathom Fight. It's our really bad attempt at trying to merge pirates and lasers together. I mean, the build turned out alright, but the concept is tenuous at best. We also did this then up the top here. It's a nice chill out courtyard using a tiki kind of bar. This is all going to make sense, by the way, when we start putting the rides and stuff in the background, so please chill out. It's just a thing on the top of a roof of a shooting ride. Quite people came at me for the fact that it's not a pirate theme. I was like, it'll make sense, I promise. We also did then this courtyard where we put some games and some food units and stuff in here, and then we finished the main building that looks like this, just so that we can make the area look like it's all finished and put together. And then the plaza area itself, just some decoration. As I said, I wanted to keep this quite simple and quite elegant because it is supposed to be a busy area. This is going to be the centre of the park, so you need some space. You need space to let it breathe. So if we have a look then in the background, we've got something that we need to talk about. Let's go and have a look. So, let's please welcome an RMC topper to Grosvenor Gardens. And yes, this is a topper, not an iBox. I've got it right this time because the last series was a mess. So it's completely right this time. So give you a little bit of a backstory to this. This would have been installed sometime between Outlaw Run and Lightning Rod at Dollywood. So as a result, this is a bit of a what would have happened if those two coasters had a baby. The answer is this. So let's take a bit of a tour. So here we go with the station and the maintenance area starting to come together. I'm following the same concept of the maintenance area being in the same place as the other coasters. That seems to be working in this park, and it seems to make sense with the exit path and stuff that's coming around this way. So we're just running with it for now. Plus, I didn't really have much room because we are still on the side of the hill. And yes, I've used the same technique to put the road up the side of the hill, which is why you might be able to spot this mess over here. This is what I do when I'm doing the hill. I'm also filming the tutorial for the terrain as well at the same time, so that's coming and that's being used for there. Anyway, sorry, I digress. So we're in the station here, and then we've got an Outlaw Run style drop into the lift hill. So I wanted this drop here so that I can actually bring the exit path up and over the station itself, rather than having to go too far up. So this just works out quite nicely. The lift hill itself then is set to 34 degrees. It's a nice round even number, and it's actually quite a slow one. I think it's 8 or 9 mile an hour. Then there are reasons for that, but yes, it's quite a tall lift hill, and this ride does get quite a bit of speed, but it also spends its speed very, very well. And then we've got a pre-drop into a turnaround, and then into the signature RMC steep drop. Didn't want this to be 90 degrees, I just wanted it to be steep. Remember roughly the timeline of this. They wouldn't necessarily have perfected the 90 degree or the steep drop, you know, the Zadra drop at this point. So we're just keeping it nice and steep. I did, by the way, have this a little bit longer. I wanted to play with riders a little bit, but it just felt, the pacing of it just didn't feel right. And it's not unknown for you to not do your main drop straight after the lift hill, right? You could do whatever you want, just because, and it's that element of, just because you've never seen it, it doesn't mean it's never real. But guys, it just didn't feel right, especially as a pacing for an RMC. So I ended up doing the turnaround and into the first drop anyway. And then this is another element that I've stolen it directly from Outlaw Run because I love it. It's like an overbanked S-turn. And then we've got a train coming, so we're going to be able to see it. But I wanted you to be able to see it from the station, right? So it comes up, and it's almost an inversion, and down into a snake turn, and then into an airtime hill. So I wanted to have that because that's pretty signature RMC. You know, overbank as much as you can and just throw people through something. So this ride, by the way, doesn't have any inversions, and I've kept that concept. So we know they can invert because Outlaw Run does, but this one is not going to invert. This is going to be more like lightning rod in that aspect. I mean, there are places you could put them, and whether you count this as an inversion is up to you. You guys can fight about that in the comments. I don't care. I'm not counting it as inversion. So we're then going to come into an overbanked turn, into another overbanked turn, but the difference is this one is a level overbanked turn, and this one is an overbanked climb. There we go. And then into an almost unbanked turn, just to get some laterals, and then into an airtime hill. And guys, just to let you know, I've substituted a trim brake here for a block brake. So this is almost a point of no return block brake. That's so I can run 3 trains. That's got nothing to do with realism. This would probably be a trim brake on an RMC. Oh, shudder at the thought. That's because of the rest of the layout here. But anyway, it comes into an airtime hill regardless. It doesn't actually trim the speed. It's just there if it needs to trim the speed. And then we come into a turn, and then we come into this one, like a wave hill. Absolutely wanted this because it's on the side of the hill here, right? So there we go, as it comes through. Yes! And then into this U-turn, and then a lightning rod style constant airtime hills. So there's one down there, one there, then into a turn, and then into a pretty steep downward that way, and then into up and around and into the brake run. Quite a long brake one actually. I thought this train was going to be doing far more speed than it actually is. It's fine, but it's on an angle, and that's purely because it's on the side of a hill, and I needed the ability to put the road underneath and stuff, so that actually works out in its favour. All 3 trains fit, by the way, on the brake runs here, so it's one in the station, one there, and one there. The queue line itself is pretty horrific. It's just cattle pen hell. Actually, that's exactly as I wanted it, because again, it's on the side of a hill. You don't really have a lot of space to do much creativeness on that one. There's a supporting ride. It's the Insanity. I just wanted a supporting ride in here. And then, of course, the train. So this whole time we've been watching this train track like snake its way around the park, but never at any point have we made it made sense. So here it is. It's now making sense in this spot. And guys, just to let you know, I think I'm actually going to open up and put an area in here. So this is where a lot of the shops and supporting stuff is going to be. This is just a bit more of a passing area, just like the STC is. You're sort of walking down here and you can just veer off to the STC. This time though, you're walking through the area and then you'll walk into a main area that's coming down here. But anyway, that's future me's problem. We're dealing with an RMC. So let's carry on. Let's get building. Alright then you guys, it's the middle part of the episode and you know what that means. I'm about to show you around something that's completely unfinished and an absolute hot mess. But hey, there's quite a lot to show you in this one. But first, let's deal with the big news of this week. The Nemesis retrack at Alton Towers. So yes, it's been announced that Nemesis is going to be retracked. And do you know what? I'm going to trigger you. It's going to count as a new credit. And hear me out. When you have a broom and you replace the handle and then you replace the head, you don't have the same broom anymore. Same principle with Nemesis. You replace the track, it's a different coaster. Happy days. +1, guys. Ding, ding. Oh, I know that's going to trigger some people. Oh, come on, bring it on. Okay, so let's have a look at this. And we're going to address the elephant in the room first, because I know you guys are going to come at me for this one. And let's talk supports. So I'm not in any way, shape or form going to be custom supporting this beast, because I just don't have the patience, I don't have the time, and as it turns out, the game is not stable enough to do that. What I was trying to do was what I've always done in Chatralandia and in Reigate Lake and everything, and subsequent support, or supporting supports if you like, and I know that in real world these are supposed to be joined together, and the reason for that is for forces distribution, in the sense that the forces from this curve would then come down here, and then you've got lots of struts that the forces could then be redistributed into and down into the ground and stuff, right? So I know that they are supposed to be joined up. I know that they're supposed to be together, and I know that they're supposed to be smooth and around here. But I'm sorry, guys, the game is just too unstable to do that. I had 11 crashes putting in the supports. We're lucky I even did the supports. I nearly gave up. But so this is as good as we're going to get. And this is the $2.20 principle. From up here, it looks fine. It looks believable. It looks absolutely like it should do. When you get a little bit closer, that's when you start to scratch away at the surface and find that it's a little bit of a problem. And also, the shape of the track itself doesn't really lend itself to being custom supported properly. So like this bit here, proper jank. I keep mentioning the purists. You're going to hate it, but it is what it is, guys. From here, it looks absolutely fine. So I'm just going to run with it. Like I say, I nearly gave up on doing the custom supports anyway. So, but this is the village. So I am going for a theme that's very much like the game Ostriv. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not promoting the game, but it's an amazing city builder game that's being developed, or was being developed, by one single person. It's quite a long time in development, but it's worth waiting for. So the building style for here is medieval wood almost. So that's what I'm going for. And the building styles are very much inspired by the buildings that you're going to find in that game. So if you have played it, then you'll recognise where I'm going with the town square stuff and the actual main ride building. So I wanted the gift shop and the ride building to be the same shape. I wanted them to complement each other, but be different sizes. So that's why they look very similar. It's by design. And then you've got this porch annex thing that's sticking out the side here. I wanted to have a different shaped building because this is very similar to all of the other buildings that I've done. You know what I mean? It's similar shape to the launch coaster. It's a similar shape to the B&M. It's everything. It seems to be taking on, and it's similar shape to the Canada one as well. So what I'm trying to do is just at least mix it up with design styles and stuff. Now it needed to complement the pirate, and it needed to complement the Canada area, but I wanted to still make it different. So this is what we're going for. The maintenance area itself is coming together really, really nicely. The transfer track is now in. And just a little tip, by the way, because I know that nobody is going to be watching this part of the episode, so this is between me and you. This is the Bob Ross, the secret happy trees. This bit underneath here. So when you are wanting to do transfer tracks for an RMC, if you remove the supports, you also remove the banister here, right? So what you do is you come along and you put in invisible path underneath. Now I don't have the mod that is invisible path, so the closest I've got is the nature paths. And then what I'm going to come and do later on is cover this over with foliage and stuff, so you won't actually notice that it's actually a path. It's not usable by guests because you can't get down there, etc., etc. So it's just a way of removing the supports. I've also used that exact technique here as well. So this path removes the curb and then it comes underneath, and then all I've done is I've covered it over with concrete, and then it removes the supports so that it's then sufficient for lorries and stuff to come through. So it's exactly the same cheat technique. Don't look at the supports here, they're jank. And then over in the gift shop, I've started to profile how I want this on the sightline. So again, I don't put roofs on the middle bits, right? So you can see inside the buildings and stuff. So yeah, the gift shop itself, it's a standard gift shop. There is nothing new in here. And likewise with the photo shop, there's nothing new in here. It's all as you would expect it to be, right? I'm trying to do new stuff, guys. I really am. But there's nothing really to show you. Over here, I've done the insanity. So I've put the queue lining up and everything. I've reused the fence from the Pioneer that we did, you know, the weird flying coaster, but I've changed it up ever so slightly to make it more medieval feeling, and I've changed the colours and stuff. So the actual fence style itself is the same, but the colours and stuff are different, so it's sufficiently different. And then of course I just put some don't die fencing along the top here because it's quite an intense ride. It's got quite a bit of a swing to it, so you don't want guests coming in here. A little bit of touching up that I need to do, but that's fine. I can do that shortly. We finally have fast passes. I am still going to put them down by the pirate area, but we finally have the ability to buy a fast pass for all of the fast track fans out there. So yay, we have that. I need to do some detailing and stuff on the front of this building, which is absolutely fine. We'll come back to that later. And then the train station itself. So I wanted this to be more of a town hall style building, and I wanted it to be open fronted along here. So this is now the shape of the building that I'm going for. I just need to do some touching up and some fine details and stuff along here just to make it all come together. But the queue line and everything is now in. I've reused the fence that we did over on the, whatever they called it, the Raptor ride, the Golden Eagle. I can't remember what it's called. This one here. Hang on, change my camera. This one. This one there. So I've reused the fence anyway. And again, it's for consistency purposes. You find it quite a lot in theme parks that they'll reuse fence designs just in different colours and stuff. So that's exactly what I'm going for here. And then the actual front of the building, the front of the town, I wanted to have some kind of entry way into the town. So I've just thrown together this bit of a structure. It does what it needs to do, right? It's going to look all right when you've got the foliage and stuff in here. It's going to be a bit of an entry point. And then it also denotes the exit point as well down here. And I do want to do a western area as well. So I do want to have like a bit of consistency when it comes to later on. And I think the western area is probably going to be the area behind here where the graveyard currently is. Yeah, so that's cool. And then I just wanted to have some food units in here. I actually think I need to put a staff unit in here because this is quite far from anywhere else. But yeah, just somewhere that you can grab some food and some drinks. Lots of touching up that needs to be done on this area as well, just to make it come to life. And then the actual ride area itself, I have put all of the perimeter fencing around. I've started to put the signs and stuff up, so I just need to go around and do that. And of course, I need to do terrain textures and plants and foliage, and that's when it's all going to come to life. So at the moment, it's all looking really brown and really quite dull and grey. It's not actually brown. This is the weird thing, right? Up close, it's actually purple because it's the Arctic grass. I'm hoping YouTube is going to show this because I know that it does have a habit of pixelating everything. But yeah, so like it's actually purple up close because it's the flowers. But from a distance, it actually looks like it's mud. And I quite like it. So that's why I do it. So there. So this is the town area from the top. The queue line and everything is, do you know what, this is actually a really interesting queue line shape. I've just thrown it together, but this bit is not joined up, so it comes round here into a cattle pen, and then it doesn't come back on itself. It actually comes back this way. So it just throws me every time I look at it. Anyway, sorry, just admiring my own work. So this is the town from the top. It needs lots of details, lots of foliage, lots of trees. Let's go. Alright then, you guys, so the town has come to life and it's time for the Done For Now snap to come out. And I'm saying for now because there's something about it that just doesn't feel finished. And I think it's this sightline in the background. I need to work out what the western area is going to look like in order for me to be able to fill this black hole, because I've done all the rest of the sight lines, but this is just a bit of a, it's just a blot on the landscape really. But I've been watching this coaster as I've been doing multiple takes of this, and this is an absolute throughput machine. It's perfectly timed. I'm really pleased with how this has turned out, and we've also got a name, Destria, so thank you Avapo Storms 12 for this one. You absolutely boshed the vote this week. There was not even a close second, and it's all to do with an old knight's warhorse. So I've tried to build in some kind of war references or horse references in here. You'll see them. They're very tenuous. Let's not even lie about this. Let's go on a tour then, shall we? So this is the area from the top. I'm really chuffed with how this is, as I said, turned out. I've kept this area around this part on the left-hand side. I've kept this clear because this would be the main path through the area. So, of course, you want to be able to have people walking through as freely as possible. But then on the right-hand side, it's a bit more cluttered. You've got the railway station here, and then you've just got these like picnic bench covers almost on the front line here. I like how this is. It just breaks up the area quite nicely without using trees and foliage, because this one is quite tree heavy, so it feels like this area would need to be a little bit exposed. The buildings themselves then, I am really pleased with how they've turned out. As I said, they just look very medieval, but simply medieval. I didn't want to go into too much depth and too much detail, but you get some really, really nice sight lines of the coaster from the path area. So like you've got this turnaround here, you've got the lift hill. In fact, there's a train coming now. What timing? So you get the turnaround here, you get the lift hill. You get this bit as it's coming up and around. And then if I just change the camera, you also then see it like it poking through the back here. You can just about see it when it comes over the hills here. So it's I'm really, really chuffed with like how this is now positioned on the landscape. And I've also changed some of the landscape around it, so the hills are properly hiding things that they should be, and the trees are hiding things that they should be as well. So yeah, I like it. I like it. The gift shop itself, I have also just touched up. It's all had all of its final details and stuff done. I did have the barrier underneath the windows here to stop the guests from walking through, but that actually breaks the guest AI. They can't find a way through this door, so I've ended up having to just let them walk through the windows, unfortunately. But yeah, I did try and make it as real as I could and have the barriers, but it just didn't work. So inside here, it's just a plain old gift shop. I wanted to have the fluorescent lights on here. It felt like this would be a gift shop that wouldn't really have much going for it. It's just a generic gift shop that you walk through. And then the photo opportunity is right at the back here as well. So it's almost like actually you could walk past it and not see your photos. It's a bit of a really bad marketing area. But in here I've just done some touching up and just making sure that everything is as I wanted it. It actually follows a lot of the design cues that I used for Gunslinger in Chachalandia, if I'm honest. In fact, it's almost identical. But I liked how that turned out. So it just felt like it fitted right in here. And then this is the Insanity ride that we've got. So the Insanity ride has come together nicely with a queue line now that we've got all of the stone cladding, all the stone pathways down. And then just to hide the edges of that, I've put the mulch down and also just veg and foliage and stuff. So yeah, I like this. It has no name, by the way. The members that have clicked join on the videos, you guys are going to be naming this in future, ready and ahead of the actual tour itself. And coming around this way, I've just done some work on the railway line. The bridge was in the last update, right? But I've just done some work on the railway line here, and then just put a load of foliage and stuff, trees and whatever, just to finish off this area. And of course I've just put the grass back in so it's not actually dirt anymore. So coming over to the coaster, the station itself is nice and elegant. As I said, this is just going for simple elegance. I wanted this to be simple, so this is the design that I've gone for. Overhanging wood and lots of beams and stuff. But I've also mixed up the wood textures. I didn't want this to be from floor to ceiling with the same wood texture, and that's actually worked out quite nicely. The maintenance area, I really like how this has turned out. It's simple, it's cluttered, it's busy, and it's a mess, but it's still simple with it. And the fact that it's just this concrete and the drop. And then I've put in some temporary barriers here, by the way, so these barriers could be removed when the transfer track is in operation. And then if we just come inside here, through, there we go. Nice and simple in here too. So this is exactly as you would expect this kind of workshop in here. A couple of lifts, a couple of cranes, kept it simple. And you know, for this series, I'm keeping my maintenance area simple. I could go all out, but it's just piece count, really. We just need to conserve the piece count for when it's actually needed. I mean, the important thing is that you've got the shutters and you've got most of the equipment in here, so we're all good. And then we come into the actual station itself. So I didn't show you this in the last update, and I didn't realise that I hadn't shown you. So this is the first time you're seeing in here, and this is another example of simple and elegant and effective. So I have taken a lot of cues from Outlaw Run. Outlaw Run, yeah. In the sense of the fencing and some of the decor, some of the kitting out and stuff that we've got. The beams along the ceiling, as well as the roof, like the plain roof, but with the beams and different style of wood for the beams. So we've got one wood that's this way, one wood that's this way. I just wanted to mix it up, so again, it wasn't just repeating textures and stuff. And then I've put a couple of ceiling fans around. This fencing is part TMTK and part in-game wood. And then I just put some of the in-game signs and stuff for the exits. Of course, you've got your baggage hold, so your baggage hold is there, and then just stuff, just crap that's just been thrown around all along on the walls, just to make it look like it is what it is. This has turned out a little bit more Western than I wanted it to. More than medieval, because medieval you tended to go down the Tudor route, right? You tended to go down stucco and beams like we did in Chachalandia, but I wanted this to be wood. And then of course you've got the spots that are on the ground. Your whole coaster is not complete without those without the spots, right? And then we come into the queue line area. So the queue line itself, I've again just put the same stone pathing that's around, all of the usual bins in the usual places. I've put a path cover in the bit that's immediately going to be holding most of the queue, and then trees are providing shade for this other side of the queue, so it's not entirely undercover, it's not claustrophobic, and it's not too extreme. But I really like these fences. Like, now that they're actually in with everything else around it, these fences have turned out really quite nicely. Like, I quite like it. So going over to the coaster then, there's lots and lots that's been going on with this coaster, because of course it's now fully kitted out with all of its stuff. So all of the catwalk clutter is out there. It's now got lights that work in the evening and at night time, and yes, of course, it's got all of its foliage. There's lots of foliage that's going along in this coaster. So let's do a real quick recce. So over here with the first turnaround, I wanted to make it make sense. I have also taken inspiration from Mystery Mine at Dollywood with this turnaround, you know, the bit that they've just removed on the Eurofighter. So I wanted to have something like that in here. But it needed to make sense, because this coaster could have just carried on, and it could have gone out this way and done more stuff before it came back. So I've actually ended up changing the terrain around this area. I don't know if you can be able to see it because I put so many trees in. Can we see it? Yeah, so look, we've now got this sheer drop. So it's almost like it wouldn't make sense to do anything with this landscape. So as a result, you've ended up going, oh no, we're just going to turn it round, and then it's going to go into the first drop there. So that's exactly what I've done. And then it comes into its turnaround, or it's almost like it's still inverted, by the way. I've done some more smoothing to the coaster, and it's still inverted. Look, so I'm happy with that, and it's got a really smooth profile to it. I like how it's got a bit of a smoothness to it. And as it comes around here, and then we've just got lots of overgrowth that's going on in here. So the trick to this, by the way, is sinking trees into the ground, but choosing the trees that are more bush-like. So this was the Brazil tree. I also use the oak tree, and I also use the African tree. And there's one of the other African trees. I can't remember what it's called. I'm sorry. But you just sink it into the ground, and you make it look like bushes. And then all you do is just change your terrain painting around it, so it looks a little bit weathered and a bit worn, because of course it wouldn't be grass underneath there, right? And this is the kind of effect that you get, especially from down here. It looks nice and wooded, it looks simple enough, and it's easy enough to deal with as well. And then all you do then is just, and you can't really see it because it's subtle, but then you just scatter in some creosote bush just to make it look like there's dead bushes and stuff in here, and then that really makes this look a little bit more lush than perhaps you'd be able to achieve by using individual bushes and stuff. And you don't get that repeating texture problem either, well, that you have when you're doing the same bushes and stuff. So coming back into the ride area then, perimeter fences are all out, and then of course all the ride signs and stuff are in. And then you've just got some more foliage and stuff that's coming around here. And then coming into the over wave turn, or the wave turn, not wave turn, sorry, the wave airtime hill that I've got. I wanted to make this a purpose as well, almost like they had to design it to do this purposely. So this is why we've got all the rock work and stuff along here. And I've just used that same technique of sinking trees into the ground to make it look like the bushes are overgrowing the rocks slightly, but then underneath the track itself is relatively clear. Because nothing would grow underneath it because of the trains passing by and stuff. And then this area here, to make sense of it being such a sheer drop, I've just put some more rocks and stuff in this area as well. So in terms of the actual coaster itself, this is one of the only coasters other than the STC that we did where I focused on the internal of the coaster. It doesn't have a theme as such, it doesn't have a story, but it has a lot of foliage and a lot of things to make it make sense. And then over here I have just done some more touching up on the exterior perimeter. So again, this is a $2.20 principle that I'm going for here. Up here isn't perfect. It's not the perfect forest area. It's not ideal. But from here, it makes it look like it's complete, and it makes it look like the sightline that I wanted it to look like. Especially when you look back, and you've got the STC in the background, and you can still see the golden eagle that way, and then you've got the rock work. Actually, let me just come down a little bit further. There we go. Then you've got the rock work over here as well. That makes it almost look like desert rock. And then the last thing to show you in this area, whilst I sort out the camera now that I've gone free look to normal, it's the train station. So the train station itself is largely done. Fast pass unit I've just made sense of. I did want to put some kind of fast track video and stuff in here, but I just don't have time to edit one together. So if you want that in, if you want to do like a fast track video, please do so and let me know how I can get hold of it, and I'll put it in here. you know, like prices and advertising rides and that sort of stuff, that would be awesome. But for now, I've just put 2 stock videos in here just to make it look remotely decent. And then the train station itself, I wanted to keep simple. I didn't want to clutter this out with too much stuff. All I've done on the inside here is just put some floodlights in, just so that we've got some lighting going on for nighttime, and then on the outside the more decorative lights to make it make sense. That's all it is. Other than that, it's building design that makes it come to life. It doesn't need a theme. It doesn't need anything else. But what I have done on the inside here is just put some of the electric work and some of the boxes and stuff. So this would almost be like a maintenance cupboard or a maintenance shed. And it would also have a fire exit access, which I've purposely not put a sign up. But this would also be some kind of a fire or emergency exit, because then the actual corridor itself comes out the other side into this door as well, so you could actually leave the train this way if you needed to, if for any reason this way was blocked. So I've thought about multiple exits. And the last thing to show you, there's lots to show you in this one, is all of the work that I've done in this area. So this was all completely bland before. I've now put in a new bridge, and I wanted this new bridge to be a different style to the other bridge, so that's what I've got here. It's almost like starting to introduce the idea of the medieval, the wood and stuff along here. So again, it's simple, it's elegant, it does what it needs to do, and then of course I've continued on all of the gravel and stuff into this way, and then I've just put all the terrain paint and loads of trees and stuff in here. So if you come back to the sightline that we had before, where we were talking about this in previous episodes, and saying about how the sightline behind was going to change, this is how it's changed. So you can now see that this is now a completely lush forest, and that's exactly as I wanted it to be. And then just poking out of the top, you've got the RMC that's in the background, you've got the Insanity that's over there, and eventually you will see the western bit over in this side. So the sightline, even from Temple of Chak, is actually looking pretty complete now. So chuffed with how that has turned out. And then just coming back from this side, so I know that we sort of mentioned this earlier on when we were looking at there we go, looking at the Mac. That's how it's now appearing on the sideline. It just pokes over the top of the trees. It's perfect. It's just exactly as I wanted it to. It's like, it's just far enough away in the distance for it to not disturb the area, but it's also close enough for you to go, I want to go and investigate what's over there. And then you'd be able to walk up the hill this way. Of course, that's not actually done. So guys, this is the town from the top. I really like how this has turned out. Let me just get a decent view. There you go. Oh, we'll ignore this bit in the background. So this is the RMC WOODIE. This has taken quite a while to actually piece together, but I'm really chuffed with how this has turned out. And guys, thank you so much for getting to the end of this video. I really do appreciate that you guys are actually watching more of the video for longer, and that really, I can't stress enough how actually that helps the entire channel, because the more you watch, the more YouTube gets positive signals, and it starts to then send it across to more people. So thank you so much for that support. So Western area next week, I reckon. But until then, we're going to go on a ride on this one. See you next week. Please look after yourselves. Bye-bye.